Hello, boys and girls. This is Mr. Kizik, and just thought I'd give you a little support video about the trig stuff because I did have some questions about it. So I do have a random example here, and as what you're doing your homework, the problem or the homework is saying solve for x. Now, as I mentioned in the video, everything is related to the angle that's given here. So here's the angle that's given. Yes, there is a right angle there. However, that's only to tell us one thing. And what's the one thing that tells us? Well, if I look here, it tells us that this side right here is a hypotenuse because it's opposite of the 90-degree angle. All right, so these other two sides, what are they in relation to 52 degrees? Now, I know this is not needed here, but just to label it, this side must be the adjacent side because it's next to. It helps create that angle, whereas this side is the opposite side. So I have an opposite side, I have hypotenuse. Which trig function does that deal with? That goes back to the previous lesson of SOHCAHTOA, where that little mnemonic thing tells you what part deals with which trig function. So remember, it was opposite over hypotenuse. Ca or cosine was adjacent over hypotenuse. Toa or tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if I have opposite and hypotenuse, that deals with sine. So my setup would be sine of theta, would remember in the video I talked about, is like the variable portion for an angle. So sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Well, what's opposite and what's hypotenuse here? Well, let's fill in the blank. Sine of 52 equals opposite x over hypotenuse 14. And let me close the door here. Sorry about that. All right. So with this here, now all you're doing is you're solving for x, and this is just using algebra. So how do I solve for x? Well, I gotta multiply each side by 14. Because like I said in the video, you want to get rid of fractions. So now I have 14 sine of 52 equals x. And this is where you just now go to your calculator. And like I said, make sure it's in degree mode and plug it in exactly like that. So I'm going to have, let me just get my calculator here, 14 sine 52. And I'm going to get that this is around 11, because 11.032, and that rounds to 11. That's it. Well, now what happens if, the question I was getting to was, what happens if they didn't give me that angle over here? It gave me this angle over here instead. So this is not here anymore, but now it's over here. Well, the 14 is still the hypotenuse, but I don't have that these sides are opposite and adjacent right now. Now this side here would be opposite, and then this side here would be adjacent. So now my setup would be, well, I have adjacent hypotenuse, and that would be cosine. So cosine theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Fill in the blank. Cosine of 38 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And then you would go about solving for x. Now, maybe, hopefully from the last video, you saw there was some sort of pattern going on here. So if I did do that in a calculator and solve for it, I should get the same thing as I got before. And the reason being, if you're going into Algebra 3 next year, there's something called a unit circle, where the cosine of one angle is the same as the sine of another angle if they add to 90 degrees. But that's something for next year if you're going to that. All right, so that's one example here. Let me give you another example. So let's say I have a triangle that looks like this. Okay, and I'm given this angle here, we'll say 32. We'll say this side here is 11, and this is the side we're trying to find. So again, we know this side is hypotenuse because it's opposite the 90-degree angle. That's not going to help me in any way because, well, nothing's given there. But what is 11 and x in relation to 32? Well, 11 is the opposite side because that's opposite 32 degrees, and x is adjacent. So which function deals with opposite and adjacent? That's tangent. So now let's set up the problem. Tangent theta equals opposite over adjacent. Fill in the blank here. Tangent of 32 equals 11 over x. So I had some questions here about, well, how do I go about solving for x here? And it is the same algebra as you did before. You want to get rid of the fraction, so you multiply each side by x. So we just put it down here. X tangent of 32 equals 11. Well, excuse me. So I still don't have x by itself here. So what I need to do is get rid of tangent 32. Tangent 32 goes together. It's not like I can divide 32 and then by tangent, or divide by tangent and then 32. They go together. So divide each side by tangent of 32. And now I have x equals. So x equals, now I just go to the calculator now. And let me get my calculator again here. 11 divided by tangent of 32. And that gets me around 17.6.